You mentioned Germany.
Yes.
Well, wait until you get to Srebrenica, to Belgrade, to Sarajevo, to
Those are on my
Sigetouna.
list. Hi, everyone. Today I'm returning to a band which I first listened to last year. It's been a while. That is the Dave Matthews Band. My first exposure was with their song The Stone. Today it's going to be Don't Drink the Water, which I understand addresses the persecution of the Native Americans in the United States. And unlike my usual habit, today I'm also going to be listening to a live performance from the Central Park concert. So it's going to be a bit different and lots of fun. I kind of like that violin note in there.
Come out,
keeps it-
come out, no use in hiding. Come now, can you not see? There's no place here what were you expecting? Not room for both, just room for me. So you will lay your arms down. Yes, I will call this away you have.
Okay. So I'm enjoying it. I was going to say something and then I wanted to hear some more of it. And so I didn't interrupt yet. But I have to interrupt because I really, really like what we might say is a very small, minor detail, but I think it adds so much to the piece and the way it moves and feels, and that is that violin. It's just a single note. And what do I like about it? I'm listening and I'm thinking, in a way, even though this is in sort of 4/4 time, uh, somehow it makes me think of something like, I don't know, traditional Irish jig music or something, or it's different, but it also that drone kind of feels a bit bagpipey. There's something about it that somehow makes me think of bagpipes or traditional Irish instrumental music, dance type music, and I like the way it energizes the piece. It's a single note, and I guess that is an interesting thing to notice because we don't very often think of a single drone note adding energy to a piece. But you hear the little bit of bending, sliding into it, and that little slide in, which kind of intensifies and energizes, gives us sort of a forward motion, drives us into the note. And it becomes a sort of, should we say, a call and response in a way with the voice, but it's not really that. And yet they're taking turns. I'm going to back up and listen just a little bit, although I suspect it's going throughout the piece, but I like the blend here. I like the combination of instruments too.
Place you out where you expecting. Oh, that's room for both, just room for me. So you will lay your arms down.
Even this.
Yes, I will call this away.
But even as I'm sort of fascinated, attracted to the way this fiddle is contributing to the feel of the piece, I also have to notice similar things happening with the drums, in that when he's singing, the drums do one thing. When he's not singing, it's a slightly different texture and pattern. Subtle things like that, which make this band dynamic, the ensemble dynamic, the interaction between the different parts of the ensemble works so nicely. I even in this "so you will lay your arms down" part, it's a very modern sounding style, melodic style, as well as singing style. But even that makes me think of some modern renditions of traditional Irish folk music. Something about this, and it's so funny because I don't think of it's. I don't know if this band has any connection really to traditional Irish folk music, but something in it has that same sort of feel. Little details of how he's handling the melody, maybe it's a bit of the rhythmic energy pattern of the piece, even that the drums are contributing.
Yes, I will call this
Listening to the bass now.
away, away. You have been banished. Now your land is gone and given to me. Only here I will spread my wings.
Still listening to the
Yes,
bass.
I will call this What's this you say? You feel the right to remain, then stay. I will bury you.
I like the line, "I will bury you." It's okay. I think I'm beginning to figure out why I start to feel common ground between this and traditional Irish music. It's a combination of the rhythmic dynamic. And as I was focusing more towards the bass and the harmonic design, it's a very, very simple, kind of static, or at least slow-paced harmonic rhythm. What I mean is how often and how often it changes harmonies, and the placement of the chords, and they're very simple, straightforward harmonizations to begin with. Nothing really complex or out there. that, along with the instrumental texture, we have the drone violin, we have a simple bass that just supports everything. We have the rhythm, of course, driven by the drums. And on top of that, we have really a sweet, very folk-like melodic melody. And all of this comes together. I'm not saying that this is Irish folk music, but all of this shares a lot in common with traditional Irish music. And so it's fun to feel those connections and hear that. But I have to say that in fact, well, before I get off that topic, I even see hints of this. If we go back a little bit, you see how they're moving around on stage. And if you think of Irish dancing, which is very much the feet and the legs moving, you see even the way they're moving on stage is very much the feet and the legs. It's built in, it's baked into the rhythm and the musical dynamic of the piece. That is just how it feels. That's how the music wants to move. And so even they are kind of feeling it in the same way. But the other thing I'm enjoying, not just connecting styles and that sort of thing, I'm enjoying the balance and interaction of the different parts. I really am. I like his voice is not something that I would say, oh wow, what an unusual voice, or what a complex voice. But I feel like he fits so well in this music. And this moment here, where I just stopped it, he got just the right touch of kind of vocal drama. Not too much, not enough to make it, too overdone, but enough to really make us feel what he is singing. Gliding nice and smooth here over everything else that's happening.
What's this you say? You feel the right to remain, then stay. I will bury you.
I will bury you. And the violin goes up. Look at the feet and the legs.
What's this you say? Your father's.
Hold on. That was almost a yodel.
What's this you say? Your father's spirit still lives in this place, but I will silence you. We are the one on the side, yeah. Here's the hitch, your horse is leaving.
I like that. Kind of a, shall I say, maybe it's just because I'm so immersed in the Beatles project and I've been doing a lot of reading about the Beatles and everything. But when I hear a sudden drop out of all the instruments, this term Beatles break comes to mind. It's kind of a Beatles break they just did there, but we'll take that out of the way for a minute because it's also something that works really well with the music. It's not just an imitation, but it's a very effective use of silence. Well, it's not complete silence because the drums keep going, but it makes us sit up and say, "Oh, wait, what's going on?" Okay, these interjections of something that is not easily understood. As I said, it was like almost a yodel. I'm beginning to think that maybe this is the Native American expression of dismay and protest, perhaps, because it does start to have a sort of primal quality to it. And he's using that as a way of inserting the Native American voice in the dynamic between what we, the white people, the invaders, did, and the previous peoples who lived on this land.
Here's the hitch, your horse is leaving. Don't miss your boat, it's leaving now. Unless you go, I will spread my wings. Yes, I will call this Well, I have no time to justify to you. Fully blind, move aside from me.
The crowd's enjoying it.
And all I can say to you, my new neighbor, is you must move on, or I will bury you. Oh, now as I rest my feet by this fire, those hands once warm dear, well, I have retired them. I can breathe my own air, and I can sleep more soundly upon these poor souls. I'll build heaven and call it home. 'Cause you won't now, and I live with my justice.
Okay. I have to back up. I said that his voice wasn't anything that really stands out to me, but he is good, and he's handling it so well. It's not that he's a not an interesting singer. Actually, he is. But in the beginning of the piece, he was simply should we say calibrating his voice to the music and saving his power for when it needed to come. And I really appreciate that, because it's not drawing attention to his vocal abilities just for the sake of showing off and saying, I'm an amazing singer, listen to me. He is really, really serving the music in how he's singing. And there has been a consistent, gradual, progressive, intensifying and build up throughout this piece, which is really well measured and controlled. I'm thinking about, there are some other pieces I've listened to along the way, which I've commented about that on that type of ability to control the pacing of the intensification. Well, one of the really famous pieces that I listened to early on in this journey was Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And that one is more a progression of tempo. And it's so gradually progressing and so well controlled. Another one I think I would point to would be Child in Time by Deep Purple, which is more of a volume progression. Again, incredibly well paced and well controlled. And now I hear, as he's singing, so this tempo is locked in. Dee 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 dum bum dum bum bum. But the music is allowing him, or he's using the music to build this intensity in vocal delivery, which has so gradually progressed, so well handled, well managed, that it's almost, we arrive here and we don't even know exactly how we got here. Not because it just comes out of nowhere, but because it's been so masterfully introduced. Listen to this singing here and compare it with what we had at the beginning. It's so grand and epic.
And I justice, and I live with my greed and need, and I live with no mercy, and I live with my friends and me.
If we go back near the beginning, tempo is exactly the same, isn't it? It hasn't changed.
Come out, no use in hiding.
And you hear this dynamic energy in his voice, but the power is restrained. And it's more, it's more dance between the ensemble and the voice, taking turns.
There's no place here, what were you expecting?
Okay, and now fast forward again, closer to where we've been. In a way, it's the same. Meaning, not just the tempo, but all of that power and intensity existed in his singing at the beginning. It was just kept inside. Now, the wrapping paper is torn off and it's on display. Really, really nice control and mastery of handling this sort of thing. It's not an easy thing to do as a performer. It's easy to overshoot the mark, to anticipate, to get there, to arrive too early, to feel like, and it's also easy to delay it and misjudge the build-up to where, we didn't get there soon enough, and now I either have to do a big explosion or we never get there quite in time. It's a hard thing to do. I'm speaking as a performer. I'm speaking as a musician myself. And this kind of metering out the progression of emotional, shall I say, revelation, the emotional intensity is really a hard thing to get exactly right. And I feel like in this song, it's been so well handled.
I rest my feet by this fire. Those hands once warmed here. Well, I have retired them. I can breathe my own air.
Oh, yes, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I had to back up because I knew there was something else I was going to say and I forgot. The drums in this section. Okay. So, this music is moving along, building up, and then we get to this verse. Now, as I rest my feet by this fire, those hands once warmed here, I have retired them. I can breathe my own air. I can sleep more soundly upon these poor souls. I'll build heaven and call it home, 'cause you're all dead now. That's what he's singing here. And the way the instrumentation behind it has changed, not only that, but what's happening with the drums. It's the moving downwards in pitch. It's a sort of a drum, the drum set working as, I don't know, a contributor to the bass line, we could say, because it's a pitched descent. We've been talking about actions being taken against these people. As you go, I will spread my wings. Yes, I will call this home. That's presented in a rather epic, triumphant manner. I have no time to justify you. Fool, you're blind. Move aside from me. All I can say to you, my new neighbor, is you must move on or I will bury you. So there is activity. There is action being taken. And then we get to this line. Now, as I rest my feet by the fire. That's the moment at which the instrumentation changed. And it's almost as if you feel him sitting down, lifting his feet up and resting them by the fire. It's a moment of shall I say descent? Not really descent, but this sitting down, kicking your feet back, relaxing moment from the active aggression. It's a shift. First there's the active aggression, and then there's the I'm able to relax now. And you hear that, especially in the way the drums handle it.
And all I can say to you, my new neighbor, is you must move on, or I will bury you. Now as I rest my feet by this fire, those hands once warm to you, well, I have retired them. I can breathe my own air, and I can sleep more soundly upon these.
And also the organ and the other instruments, which are playing these long, more funereal type musical shapes. It becomes a sort of musical representation of one person taking their ease. Now I can rest my feet by the fire. At the same time, it's the funeral element, the funereal burying of the Native Americans, of these poor souls, as the song says. All of that is represented in the music here.
I'll never let them call it wrong, 'cause you won't
And this was
and I live with my justice, and I live with my greed and need, and I live with no mercy, and I live with my friends and feed, and I live with my hatred, and I live with my jealousy. God, I live with the notion I don't need anyone with me. Don't drink the water, don't drink the water, there's blood in the water. Don't drink the water, don't drink the water, don't drink the water, there's blood in the water. Don't drink the water. I love when
That was really well done. I'm impressed. I am. And that part where it says, I live with my justice, I live with my greedy need, I live with no mercy, I live with my frenzied feeding. It was interesting to me because that kind of repetition and kind of line after line after line. I live with my hatred, I live with my jealousy, I live with the notion that I don't need anyone but me. That really builds another wave of intensity. It's interesting that it came so close to the end. We've already been through this grand journey, and now we come to this. And I was thinking, I don't very often hear this kind of introducing new musical ideas so close to the end of a piece. It's kind of like writing an essay, and just as you're coming to close, you have one more really great idea to insert. And, okay, sometimes it works, but sometimes because you waited so late in the game to place it there, it gets buried. It loses its force because you've already made your point, and now this is new, and how do you tie it all together and make it doubly compelling? But this worked. This did work. I live with my justice. I live with my greedy need. And I think that one of the reasons it worked is because, again, the instrumentation helped direct us through this. That was a portion where the instruments became quiet. Again, it was just the drums taking us through this. I live with no mercy. I live with my frenzied feeding. I live with my hatred. I live with my jealousy. I live with the notion that I don't need anyone but me. And as I was listening, I was thinking, okay, there aren't very many lyrics left. Are we going to end in this sort of kind of silence and have the instruments gone already? I was curious because, okay, what are you going to do now? You could actually, and I was thinking, that would be really unusual and could be highly effective to have the really moral statement of the piece, the consequences of this kind of behavior be stated and left in such silence. And it could have worked. But what they did is they then took this final portion, don't drink the water, don't drink the water, and it became this chaotic, organized chaos. Frenzied is a better word. Frenzied, intense, crazy, wild moment. And that pulled all the different strands of the essay, pulled them all into one, and brought us to one grand conclusion, concluding paragraph, I could say. Don't drink the water. There's blood in the water. In other words, I have put my feet up by the fire. I think everything is all good. And I live with all of this, with myself. I live with it. I'm okay because this is what I wanted. And then the punchline. Your water is poisoned. And you cannot drink. You cannot get the thing that is most essential to you to live. You will die of thirst here. Because you've poisoned the place. There's blood in the water. And what a powerful piece of music. Statement. It lays bare the sins against these people powerfully, and it shows us our moral decay. And towards the end, as I was seeing the crowd still moving happily, feeling the music as a sort of fun event, I was thinking, how ironic. Is it somehow it doesn't feel right to me to be dancing and celebrating as we're singing this. Of course, it's music. It's meant to be entertainment. Well, that's an interesting thing to think about, too. And actually, I have to appreciate this fact that these kinds of topics are what are being presented and handed to these vast audiences of fans. And even though they're dancing and having fun, they're also absorbing this message of you have your life before you, and this is some of your history, and it's up to you to decide, are you going to live in this same way and continue to poison the water, or are you going to look at yourself and choose how to live with respect and integrity towards all your fellow human beings? And it's not a preachy sort of, this is a lesson you must learn. That doesn't work. But it's more a simply reminding us of the truth, reminding us of some of the dark sides of American history, and making sure that we don't forget. It's up to us to decide what we're going to do with it, how we're going to relate to it. But that's an interesting thing too, the idea that, well, I've been to Europe. And one of the things that really stood out to me, especially in Germany, other places as well, but especially my time in Germany, my first time there, I was really taken aback, surprised, amazed at how much effort and resources are put into making sure that the sins of German history are never forgotten. Not because they're proud of it, neither because they want to keep themselves hanging their heads and ashamed and unable to move forward, but because truth matters. And the only way to live well, truly well, is to live truthfully. And there are so many museums and commemorations, and everywhere you look, there is something to tell you about the dark hours of German history, the Nazi era. I remember walking along a street, and there was, just in the middle of the sidewalk, the street, there was a special stone inserted, engraved with the name of the family who used to live in this house, which was deported to the concentration camps and destroyed. These are things which the German people don't allow themselves to forget. And it was after spending a fair bit of time there, I came back to the US, and it was such a strange feeling to come back here, knowing some of our history here, and to realize that there is nothing either in our everyday spaces that we exist and inhabit, or even in the, Vlad was shocked to discover that there is, or at least, I don't know if there is now, but there wasn't a few years back, there was no national museum on slavery. No national museum. Of course, there are other museums by other organizations, but this idea that we have these sins of our past too. Every nation has sins of their past. Are we going to acknowledge them and recognize them and face the truth, or are we going to simply pretend they don't exist and pretend to live with my justice, live with my greedy need. I live with no mercy. I live with my frenzied feeding. I live with my hatred. I live with my jealousy. I live with the notion that I don't need anyone but me. That's what poisons the water. That's what keeps the water poisoned. And I have to say that I feel incredibly grateful that even though we don't have perhaps a national system of keeping our eyes truthful, we at least have artists. We have artists, musicians, writers, people who contribute to our spaces that we inhabit with a piece of dance music. Okay, I call it dance music because I'm thinking of the kind of Irish style, the get yourself moving, and the way the people were just relating to it as a recreation. And in that recreation, we are being told the truth. I appreciate that. And I appreciate this song. Not only its message, although I appreciate its message, I appreciate the quality of delivery, it's not just a, hey, I need to write a social awareness song. I need to write something for our conscience. Let's throw something together. There was a lot of thought and care put into this, and it's presented by a masterful ensemble. And it was both enjoyable and thought-provoking. And in some ways, that's really the best kind of recreation you can find, right? Enjoyable, refreshing, thought-provoking, and makes you go back to your life with a freshly awakened conscience. So that was my second time listening to the Dave Matthews Band. That was Don't Drink the Water, the live Central Park concert version. And I'll see you soon.